Dr. Mark Hitchcock, and we've got another episode today of Marking the Times. I've really been enjoying this time with you all, answering your questions and giving prophecy updates. You can go to my Facebook page and submit questions, and that's what I want to do today, is answer a few of the questions you've sent in. There are a lot of things happening in the world today, but I want to answer a few of the questions that have been sent in. 3 of them are about heaven. They're kind of different things about heaven, so let me start with those. Then there's one last question I can answer pretty quickly. But one question says this: do you believe that we are a 3-part being, body or flesh, soul, emotions, mind and will, and spirit? If so, how do you describe the spirit? Will all 3 rise with us into heaven? Will we have the ability to sin in heaven? Like Satan, will we be able to mess up even in paradise? It's a complicated issue about the nature of man. There's 2 main views. Many people believe in what's called a bipartite nature of man. That is, we're material, that is the body, and then immaterial. And others believe in tripartite, that is, body, soul, and spirit. We all know what the body is. It's the fleshly house that we live in. But a lot of people make distinction between the soul and the spirit. The difficulty with the tripartite view, and it does say in places like in 1 Thessalonians 5, refers to the body, soul, and spirit. But Jesus will also say to love the Lord your God with all your heart and your mind and your soul and your strength. Now, I don't think those, again, are meant to give different parts of us. I think the best way maybe to look at us is we're a material and we're immaterial. And I think to try to go and further define exactly what the soul is and the spirit is, I'm not sure the Bible does that for us. So I'm most comfortable just saying we're material, and then we have an immaterial part of us that's made up of our will and our mind, our emotions, and those various things, and not try to get too technical or detailed on dividing the soul from the spirit. But in answer to this question, all of us, all that we are, will be in heaven. We'll have a new body, a glorified, immortal, imperishable, incorruptible body. The immaterial part of us will be there, well as a perfected soul and a spirit. I don't believe that we'll be able to sin in heaven, that we'll be able to ever mess up and lose our salvation. The Bible tells us nothing can separate us from the love of God. The Bible tells us, Jesus says that whenever we trust in Him, we get eternal life. It's not 50 years life or 100 years life or 1,000 years life. It's eternal life. Also, the very last verse in the book of Revelation, before you get to the epilogue, Revelation 22:5 says, and they will reign forever and ever. So we're going to be glorified in heaven. We won't be able to sin. We won't be able to mess up, as the question here says, and somehow be cast out of God's presence. So the life God gives us is eternal life. Another question someone asks is, can you explain how, if there are no tears, pain, longings, etc. in heaven, how did Satan, the angel, develop a sin nature in the first place? Well, there won't be tears and pain in heaven, but there will be longings there. But that's looking at the future state of the eternal state, when there won't be any more crying or tears or sin there. But God created Satan and the other angelic beings with the potential to rebel against Him. And that's where sin comes from. But the passages you're referring to here in Revelation 21 refer to the new heaven, the new earth, the eternal state, when those things will be absent at that point in time. One other question that's asked here is a question from Revelation 21, and I get this question a lot. In Revelation 21 and verses 25 to 27, is this talking about the millennium when Christ is reigning on the earth for 1,000 years, or the eternal state? Because it says in verse 24 of Revelation 21, the nations will walk by its light, that is the light of Christ, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it. And then down in verse 26, and they will bring the glory and the honor of the nations into it. That is, into this heavenly city, the New Jerusalem. I don't think this is saying that there's like kings and nations living outside the heavenly city that bring their glory into it. What it's saying here is those who are kings, who are leaders, who have some measure of glory here on this earth or honor, when they enter into this heavenly city, the New Jerusalem, they're going to bring their glory into it, whatever glory they have, and they're going to hand that over to the Lord. So the only one who's going to have glory in the heavenly city in the New Jerusalem is God Himself. And so whatever degree of glory people had here on this earth is going to be handed over or given to Him, where He will be all and He'll be in all. One final question someone asked, 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4, the temple there. Which temple is this? It says the Antichrist, this man of lawlessness, is going to sit in the temple of God and declare that he is God. I think that's what we call the third Jewish temple. The first temple was Solomon's temple that was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586. The second temple was the one built by Zerubbabel and others, and then embellished greatly by King Herod. It was destroyed in AD 70. Since that time, there's been no Jewish temple in Jerusalem, but I believe there will be a temple built in the end times that the Antichrist will come and defile. And he'll sit there for some period of time, declaring himself to be God. And then this image of him, a statue of him called the Abomination of Desolation, will be placed there, and people will have to worship him. And then there's when Christ comes back at his second coming, there's actually going to be a fourth Jewish temple, finally, a millennial temple that's described in Ezekiel 40 to 48. So anyway, I hope those answers are helpful to these questions. Send in other questions you have, and we'll have another update next week and answer some more questions. Thank you all for joining me today. God bless you.